Hi guys, today in this presentation I'm going to talk about what is SAT and ACT, the differences, and how I made my choices based on my preferences. I will also add the link of the official ACT and SAT websites in the description below. If you are a high schooler, you most probably will be spending a lot of time preparing for the standardized tests. If you are contemplating about your choice of exam between SAT or ACT, watch this video as it evaluates both the tests. I usually post only math topics in my channel. Today, I decided to share my understanding and knowledge about SAT and ACT with you all, as many students around the world spend most of the time during their high school years preparing and appearing for standardized exams. Although some students sail through this easily, at times it is highly stressful and confusing for many students. I would like to tell you all that we are all together in this journey. I strongly believe that the joy of knowledge is magnified when it is shared. So let us help each other when we are struggling with a concept and let us succeed together. I welcome you all to use my channel and my Discord page as a platform to discuss about your SAT and ACT journey. Share your knowledge, ask for help, and talk to us where you have a difficulty so that we can support each other. Now I'm going to be talking about how I started my journey. I researched everything about SAT and ACT using their websites. As I've mentioned before, I'm going to put the link of those websites in the description below. I sincerely request everyone to trust and go by the information that is available on the official SAT and ACT websites. And today, I'm going to share my understanding and research about SAT and ACT in this presentation. So I used the official ACT Prep Guide 2021 to 2022 edition, the College Board SAT Guide 2021. These are the books which I used. I also went through all the exercises in Khan Academy, and I practiced the concepts using Erica Meltzer's ACT book, and this book helps with both SAT and ACT. I also practiced the English concepts using a book called The College Panda. Now these are the sections, the time and the number of questions in ACT and SAT. So the ACT lasts for 2 hours 55 minutes plus a 40-minute optional essay, and the SAT lasts for 3 hours. The SAT has 4 sections: reading, writing and language, math without calculator, and math with calculator. However, ACT has 5 sections. It has English, math, reading, science, and an optional essay. So you can do it if you want, or you can skip it. Now the time for each section. Reading is 65 minutes. For SAT, the writing and language section is 35 minutes. The math without calculator is 25 minutes, and the math with calculator is 55 minutes. And for ACT, English is 45 minutes, math is 60 minutes, reading is 35 minutes, and science is 35 minutes. And if you opt for the optional writing, then you have 40 minutes to write your essay. Now, I'm going to be talking about the number of questions. So in the SAT, for the reading section, you have 52 questions, the writing and language 44 questions, the math without calculator 20 questions, and the math with calculator 38 questions, making that a total of 154 questions. Now I'm going to be moving on to the ACT. So in ACT, English has 75 questions, math has 60, reading has 40, science has 40, and the optional essay writing is 1, basically 1 question or an essay, which makes it a total of 215 questions. Now I'm going to talk about how they differ time-wise. So for reading, in SAT you have 75 seconds per question, However, in ACT, you have only 53. And for writing or writing in SAT and ACT English, you have 48 questions, 48 seconds per question in SAT and 36 seconds per question in ACT. Now for the math with calculator. In SAT, you have 87 seconds per question, and in ACT, you have 60 seconds per question. And for the math with calculator, you have 48 seconds per question, but in the ACT, there's no section of math where you get to use a calculator. And then in SAT, there is no science section, and in the ACT, you get 53 seconds per question. As you can see, ACT is fast-paced when compared to the SAT. So if you would like to have more time, you might like to opt for SAT. So now I'm going to talk about the differences math-wise. There is a slightly larger emphasis of trigonometry on the ACT than there is on the SAT. The ACT has a much larger focus on geometry, which makes up about 30 to 45% of the ACT math. If you're good at algebra and data analysis, you'll likely do well on the SAT math. But if you're a fan of trigonometric functions and geometry, and you're comfortable with matrices and logs, the ACT is a much better choice. Now I'm going to be comparing the writing. The number of passages is 4. The number of questions is 44. So all this is for the SAT. The time is 35 minutes. And here are some of the type of questions. Now I'm going to be talking about the ACT. The number of passages is 5 and the number of questions is 75. And you get 45 minutes for completing the writing section. Now moving on, I'm going to be comparing the reading sections. The common opinion that most students share is that reading is the toughest section in both SAT and ACT. Often, students try to figure out which is easier for them. Although both the tests are intended to measure a student's ability to analyze text and read between the lines, I have gathered a few differences that can help you decide which is a better fit for you. So these are the differences. Now moving on to the score comparison. I took the score comparison between the SAT and ACTs from the ACT's official website. This might give you an idea on the scores when they are compared. For example, if you get a 36 out of 36 on the ACT, you get a 1600 in the SAT. And you say you get like a 20 in the ACT, you get 1050 or 1030. You get between that range. However, if you get a 9 in the ACT, you get a score between 590 to 610. And here are some other scores for you. Now if we move on, I'm going to be discussing some things to remember for the exam. Both SAT and ACT are standardized tests and they are set to test the students covering several aspects. Neither of them is going to be easy. From my personal experience, we have to condition our mind and body to give our 100% for the duration of the exam. Practicing every day and writing a full-length test every weekend will help the students achieve the knowledge and stamina to write the test. Remember, unless you write diagnostic tests for both the tests and analyze the results, you will not be able to determine which test is suitable for you. Even though it is debatable and subjective, the general assumption is that students with a strong English knowledge may find ACT suitable, Students with a strong math background might prefer the SAT. A student who enjoys science and is comfortable with solving math questions without a calculator, the ACT might be the right choice. For a student who is not comfortable with rigorous or fast-paced exams and needs time to complete the paper, the SAT may be the perfect option. Now moving on, I'm going to be talking about how I made my decision. After I was confident that I know what to expect from both the ACT and SAT, I wrote a diagnostic test and full-length tests in both SAT and ACT. As we all know, reading is the difficult component in both of these exams. I could focus better in SAT reading as that's the first section which we write in the test. Even though I felt that the ACT reading section was slightly easier than the SAT, I couldn't focus as much as I could in the SAT. The reason behind this is that in the SAT exam, reading is the first section, so it helped me focus more. You might already know that I love math. Personally, I enjoyed solving SAT math section better than the ACT, even though ACT had some additional interesting math topics. In the place where I live, ACT is conducted as an online exam only and SAT is conducted in person. Thus, I feel very comfortable with pen on paper SAT exam. So as of now, my decision is to continue with SAT preparation and appear for the SAT exam whenever I feel that I'm fully ready. This decision is purely based on my preferences and strengths. I know that many students who prefer ACT over SAT, and they all have their own valid reasons. Hence, it is important to experience your own journey and make an appropriate decision that is suitable for you. For the benefit of the larger audience, please share about your SAT or ACT journey with me. How and why did you choose your choice of exam? And please put this choice across in the comment section so that we all learn from each other. Finally, I hope you all found this presentation interesting and useful. Hope this will help you all in a small way in your SAT or ACT journey. I wish you all good luck for your exams. Thank you.